channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. My name's John Cordy, and I think today I wanted to ask the question, do we have unfair expectations of modeler companies in 2022? The reason I kind of thought of this was that I looked at the last update for the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and I was expecting some things, and then I looked at it and it was kind of just bug fixes, and I initially had a bit of disappointment. I was thinking, oh, that's a bit of a pain. And I think it'd be fair to say that some of us can relate to that. I think a lot of the Neural DSP users have had some frustration with like maybe the pace of change and stuff. But let's not forget that Neural DSP have already done far more to improve this product than Strymon have ever done with any of their products. one of the things that we've come to expect and all of that sort of stuff from modeling companies are like a furious, in some cases, pace of updates, constant improvement, and regularity to actual and real product improvement. This comes from initially Fractal and Line 6, but it's something that is now sort of ubiquitous amongst most modeling companies. You know, Boss don't do as much of it, Headrush are a little bit slower on it, but your main ones, your Line 6, your Quad Cortex, your Fractal and your Kemper certainly have all set up this expectation that essentially your modeler will get better over time. Now, in fairness, they actually do get better over time far more regularly than any other product within the guitar world. And modelers are unique in this kind of way, in that you buy a modeler and over time the company kind of put out updates and put out real things that can improve the unit, real extra options. Now, here's one area that I think people have an expectation which is difficult, if not very difficult to meet, and it is that modelers should be easy to use. Now, I see this, and this is an ongoing sort of thing. Line 6 with the Helix, I think, brought out the first modeler that had some real steps forward in the UI. You know, putting together something that is a way to navigate through quite a complex situation where you've got, you know, many options of things to choose from and many orders that things could be in. So Line 6, I think, made a real step forward in that in 2016, whenever it was, 2015. Neural DSP kind of piggybacked off of that as well. They put a touchscreen on it, but essentially it is the same kind of format. And Fractal have improved certainly from where they were. I had a Fractal Axe 8 for a while, and that was far more difficult to use on the unit. Nowadays, they're a little bit more easy to navigate, a bit more logical. Still not necessarily the simplest, but the benefit of something like plugins is, and the thing that I think people gravitate towards them for some reasons, is because it's neatly curated. You have quite a fixed signal chain anyway, and you have less options, but also then you have, you know, a much easier time, you know, picking between maybe 4 pedals, do I want them on or off? Maybe 3 amps, do I want them on or off? 1 delay, 1 reverb, this sort of thing, you know, like Neural DSP have been doing for years now, like Line 6 did with the Metallurgy plugins, like S-Gear do, Scuff'em. I think this is basically how most of the plugin world works now, where you have sort of like a small curated set of options, and that can solve the problem that you sometimes get with something like this, where you've got kind of that option paralysis. The other really important innovation in this area came from Kemper, where it was, well, you give us the source of what you want it to sound like and feed it to the Kemper, and we'll recreate that for you in the digital world. And obviously Neural DSP have also tackled that with the capture functionality, and I think that's a really important thing as well. So modeling when you're building full signal chains can be complicated, and I think it's always going to be a little bit complicated. There's one sort of area of development I've seen which looks new to me, and that's from Meris with their LVX. Now this has 2 different user interfaces, and I wonder if one of these modeling companies at some point might come up with something like an arcade view, like where it becomes a more stripped back approach, sort of like the plugin workflow, where it's like, okay, we're going to curate your options. So if you say, right, I'm going to start off with a metal type tone, or this is what I'm looking to achieve, then maybe it starts to curate your options. I wonder if someone might come out with that at some point, where it's a little bit, instead of having long lists of stuff, it's a way to get shorter lists. And I wonder if that might help some folks in terms of an easier, simpler workflow. I guess one thing that you could do to kind of solve this problem in some ways is to have a bit of a tunnel vision focus, where you say, right, I know what it is that I'm trying to achieve, and you take some real world examples. So you say, if it was Andy Timmons, right, I need a blues driver, I need a BB preamp, I need a Mesa Boogie Lone Star, and I need some sort of dual delay, maybe even a memory man, you know, and you can give yourself those confines to start with and then build from there. But in any case, it's always going to be a little bit different to the plugin kind of realm. The other thing that I think the expectation is for a lot of folks is that you're going to be able to get these things to sound like an amp in the room. The closest way that I've managed to achieve this is actually using something without a tweeter. Now, I know loads of people talk about the FRFR thing. For me, what I found works really well is a Henriksen Bud, not cheap, but something with the option to turn off a tweeter, I think is a good thing. I don't personally like the sound of guitar tones when you've got the tweeter engaged on like PA type speakers or FR speakers. I think you get a little bit too much of that high end, and that's normally the sort of thing that, for me personally, I'm fighting in the digital realm. But in any case, if you're really wanting the sound of an amp in a room, then potentially the modeler thing might not be for you. Let me know in the comments if you've got other expectations that you have of modelers that you think might be fair, might be unfair. It's just something I thought about today. Like, you know, we can be critical of these companies and maybe they sometimes can overpromise on some things or whatever. But in general, I feel like the modeling companies, Line 6, Fractal, Neural DSP, Boss, Kemper, offer far more for the money that you pay than so many other companies like Strymon have never really updated the timeline, the Big Sky, or done any updates for free. Most of these other kind of pedal companies in the gear world don't do that either. Sometimes plugin companies will update stuff, but it's a bit slower. So I think we have to kind of, or I will at least say, credit where it's due. Like, these companies do try their best, I think. Catch you in another video soon.